Hey guys, today we're driving the 2021 Volkswagen Arteon. This is a premium R-Line, so it's pricey. It's $48,000 including destination. These start around 38 grand, so we've got about $10,000 worth of extras and options. But I will say this is one of the nicest Volkswagen products I've been in lately. We have Volkswagen's new updated interior, very sharp steering wheel, feels awesome in hand, looks good with a flat bottom design, and of course you've got VW's new logo here. We've got a touch screen, we'll talk about that later, fully digital instrument cluster, and lots of blank switches, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's okay. Otherwise, pretty much everything else that's pretty standard with Volkswagen interiors, no major surprises. Where this car does surprise me a little bit though is on the outside, where it looks very, very sharp and very Audi-esque. Yeah, this is a good looking sedan from Volkswagen. It's powered by a 2-liter turbo that makes 268 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. This one is all-wheel drive. Of course, that's Volkswagen's Haldex system. And one of my favorite features about this Arteon is it's a hatchback. Look at that. How cool is this? Lots of cargo capacity, lots of trunk space. We have a 20-inch full-size spare back there. Yeah, very neat. You just don't see this in a lot of stuff short of a Panamera or what have you. Audi A7. Lots of space in the back seat, very practical. We've got rear climate controls, heated seats. Nice little pass-through here in the middle with some cup holders. Very spacious, very nice design. We've got a Harman Kardon sound system, which we'll test a little bit later in this video. And these massive 20-inch wheels, which do not like potholes with their 245/35 R20 tires. So we've been pretty careful on these this week, but they do look sharp. Just, yikes, definitely get that wheel and tire insurance. Does not like its front door being opened while the car is running. One little detail I really like and want to show you guys on this car, we'll actually pop the hood to do that, is look at this fender line. The hood goes all the way down there to the fender. How cool is that? Very Audi A7-esque. Massive hood. There's that 2-liter turbo just whirring away in there. Volkswagen does make some of the best 2-liter turbos, so I'm not too mad about this being an almost $50,000 car with a 2-liter turbo. It does make a little bit more power than some of the other ones. And you've got your little smiley face here, as Doug DeMuro pointed out in one of his reviews. Yeah, beautiful front end, really nice design, cool DRLs, a very sleek, very sharp looking car. But what I want to talk about in this video is it worth it? Is it worth the price? And does this really feel like a premium $48,000 Volkswagen product? I do think this is a bit of an enthusiast car. If you are a VW loyalist, something like this is really going to appeal to you. If you're shopping among competitors, I think this is pretty easily outclassed by a lot of other German luxury brands, and with BMW, with Audi, and you can definitely find something for this price that's a little bit nicer. So let's get into it. We've got this fully digital instrument cluster display, which is very sharp, very nice. You've got lots of different view options here. You can see all of your fuel economy data, driving information. You've got your cruise control settings over here, which are pretty easy to use. I've struggled a little bit with some of the ergonomics this week. I'm not a huge fan of these gloss black steering wheel controls. They tend to get a little bit grubby and fingerprinty and dusty over time, and time being like 20 minutes after you've cleaned them. But for the most part, they do the job. I did prefer Volkswagen's cruise control system that was down here to the left of the steering wheel. And not a lot of switches or buttons. There's a lot of features and settings in this Arteon that are hidden within the infotainment. You do have nice, pretty good ergonomics with climate control. You've got a good reverse camera that flips up with the Volkswagen logo in the back. A few different drive modes, eco, normal, comfort, sport, custom, all that good stuff. Nothing different really there. Auto parking, parking cameras. You've got a 360 view, lots of cool stuff there. And you can go in, check different things with your car. You can change the digital cockpit view. We also have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Both are available as a wireless option too, which is great. Got 2 USB-C ports down here. Not a lot of storage space in this Arteon. So you've got 2 cup holders here, this kind of small center console, and then a tiny little glove box that doesn't even fit the user manual. So that's a bit strange. There's something going on up there. I'm not really sure what that is. Another little storage cubby here, but again, kind of small, kind of tight, and interesting stuff. Got your stop-start button right there, your e-brake, little 12-volt plug outlet right there. Couple strange things I've experienced with this car this week. 30% of the time, whenever I start it up, it turns the cooled seats on at full blast, and it's been about 20 degrees Fahrenheit out all week. So that's kind of strange. And the other thing that's been really annoying is the lane keep assist automatically turns on every time you turn on the car. There's no button to just do that. You have to go deep into the menus and go through a couple settings, almost crash, and then you can turn off lane keeping assist. And it's actually a pretty invasive system, as we'll show you on the drive. So a couple complaints to get out of the way initially, but let's take this thing for a drive and let you guys know what it's like on the road. There's something about the way Volkswagens drive that's just satisfying. This Arteon has a really nicely composed ride. It handles well, but it's not too stiff. The ride quality is great. The seats are comfortable. The driving position is excellent. I have pretty good visibility all around me here. Little sunroof action up there. And for the most part, the ergonomics, the button layout, the way everything, the switch gear is set up, looks pretty good. It's a pretty attractively designed interior. The drivetrain is quite nice, this 2-liter turbo. Even though it's only 268 horsepower, it pulls quite well. It's a very torquey engine. This 8-speed automatic is smooth. It's responsive. It does a really nice job. No complaints there. Engine sounds nice. You don't have too much weird piped-in noises going on. Dynamically, no major complaints. It handles well. You definitely feel the longer wheelbase with this car. On the highway, it's pretty quiet. Not a lot of wind noise, not a lot of road noise. The radar-guided cruise control works very well. Lane keep and steering assist, not so great. Again, it's a pretty intrusive system. Let's see if I can go in here. I have to go to menu, assist systems, and you just tap right there. So that's about 5 selections you have to make just to turn off lane keep assist, which is pretty annoying. Yeah, a lot of your settings that you've set from the previous drive, including following distance, lane keep assist, all that stuff, they reset every time you get in the car. I wish Volkswagen wouldn't do that, and at least they don't lock you out of this menu, but there are quite a few menus that they do lock you out of once you're driving. All of your controls, your turn signals, their gear selector, everything has a nice lightweight feel to it, very similar to the rest of what Volkswagen has done for the last, I'd say, 10 years or so. Basically, this is a much cooler and better looking Volkswagen Passat. Is this a car that's meant for a large audience? I don't really think so. I think this is a little bit more of an enthusiast product, like the GTI. Is it as good as the GTI? I don't really think so, but that's okay. It's different. It's a different thing. It's a different audience, a different marketplace. You know, there's a slightly more mature and luxurious air to this Arteon and how it drives down the road and how it looks. So it might appeal to some people. While we're just chilling here in this parking lot, let's go through and select our sound system test. Listen to this Harman Kardon, see what it's like. So we'll go into Apple CarPlay, music. Off we go. My OCD really kicks in with these Volkswagens. I want this volume knob to always be straight up. These haptic steering wheel controls are a bit strange. Kind of swipe and touch them. Not super accurate. These controls are kind of cool to use though. They give you a little haptic click, letting you know that something has happened whenever you swipe or touch them. Honestly, I am not that impressed with this Harman Kardon. I think Volkswagen has had better sound systems even with their Fender units, I hate to say it. 48 grand, TLX would have a much better sound system. One thing that took me a little bit to figure out is there's no switch or button or sliding dial for the gauge illumination and the in-cabin lighting. So what you do, you have to swipe down here. It doesn't always work, especially if you're in Apple CarPlay. You have to swipe down, and you can adjust your instrument cluster lighting right there on the slider. Again, stuff in this touchscreen, I would rather just have a physical button for that, for the lane keep assist. There's so many blank switches here. Why don't we have that, Volkswagen? What's going on? What are you doing? Minor gripes, but stuff that adds up, I think, over a long-term ownership experience. There's also no real mute button for the music. You have to press this power button, it turns the whole display off, and then if you turn it back on again, the display comes back on, and then the music comes back on. So you have to kind of just turn the volume all the way down to mute it quickly. All right, let's throw this thing into sport mode. We'll put the transmission in sport. See how fun this is to drive. Yeah, don't really notice that much difference sound, performance-wise, shift speed between any of the drive modes. Sport mode with the transmission definitely keeps the revs a little bit higher, but even manual mode, the paddles are a little bit lazy. So how can I sum up my week in this Arteon? I really like this as a daily driver. It's a fantastic car to drive, get in, go places. You feel like you're just in something a little bit cooler, a little bit sharper, and I think the Volkswagen enthusiast will appreciate this car for what it is. It's definitely something that in this trim is a little bit overpriced for what you get. The value just isn't here. 48 grand, I'd rather have an Acura TLX or an Audi A5, for example. But, you know, the base price or the base MSRP at 36 or 38 or so, if you can get into one of these for that, that's not a bad deal. And it's a pretty nice driving car. Would I rather have it over a GTI or something like that? No. I still think the GTI is one of the best cars that Volkswagen makes. And for an enthusiast, for someone who wants a really well set up and proper driving enthusiast car with all the practicality, with all the benefits that go with that, that's still the way to go in my mind. And nothing else Volkswagen makes really comes close, including this Arteon. So that's kind of how I'm going to sum things up. I do really like this thing, but for the price, it's just a little bit expensive. Though, if you're picking one of these up secondhand on the used market, could be a pretty good alternative to a Passat or anything like that. This is definitely one of the nicest cars Volkswagen has made in quite a while. So, sound system's a little bit of a disappointment, but if that's not a huge deal to you, it's okay. Just for the almost 50 grand price, it's not up there with any of the competition. The tech is nicely integrated. The touchscreen is a little bit annoying, and some of the settings that it forces you into are a little bit annoying, but those are minor gripes that ultimately don't really, I think, constitute or count as deal breakers. If you do end up getting the 20-inch wheels, all I'll say is good luck. I hope you don't hit a single pothole, because that's all it'll take to destroy them. They do look really sharp, but I would probably not swing for these 20s. It's just too much of a risk. If you do, maybe throw a thicker tire on there, but then your speedometer is going to be off. So I do wish manufacturers would put just a little bit more meat on these sidewalls, some safety net for when potholes do arise, because I know at least in the Midwest and in the Salt Belt, this time of year is brutal. I'm surprised this car made it this far this week. Alright guys, well that's going to wrap things up for this video. If you want to see more on this VW Arteon, check it out on the Winding Road Magazine YouTube channel, and Charlie from Daily Motor will also be doing some videos on this. Stay tuned for more in the coming days, weeks, months, years, decades. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.